Hello, P Road. Thanks for joining us. So hi there, everybody. I just hit record, so you can expect it to be recording, but I'm Stephen Day, and I'm going to be working with you with mini economy at home today, as promised.
Yeah, just want to see what he says. I just need to be.
Okay, so hi, I'm Stephen Day, and I'm the director of the VCU Center for Economic Education, and it's our job to teach teachers how to teach economics and personal finance. But I'm also a dad. I'm a parent of 4 kids, and it's my job to help them grow up to be wonderful adults. And so we've run this mini economy program with the VCU Center for Economic Education. You know, we run this in classrooms, and we help classroom teachers, elementary teachers, put on classroom mini economies. And that book you see there on the screen is called The Classroom Mini Economy. But doing a mini economy at home is also wonderful. And like it said in the introduction to this, I actually was a part of a mini economy at home when I was a kid. My dad set up a household mini economy. And then when my kids got big enough, we said, well, we should give this a try as well. So we've run a mini economy in my house for, I think it's, Sarah, is it 3 or 4 summers now? I think it's 3. And so we've gained some experience. And so I'm just wanting to pass on some of the lessons that I've learned. The main idea behind the mini economy is that it's a framework for helping them make choices about scarce resources over time. And it does have to do with economics because it has to do with production and consumption. But really what parents want is a way to teach their kids about money. And that's what it is. And I hope through this that you're going to learn this particular mini economy setup that we have for you today, but it also has a lot of implications for how you teach your kids about money in general. So I'm going to start off with sort of why we're doing this, and then we'll jump right into how you set the mini economy up, and then we'll get on to the what ifs and ways to avoid pitfalls and things that can go wrong. All right. So feel free to interrupt with a question anytime. I'll be blazing away, so I might not see it for a little bit. You can also interrupt and say, hey, Stephen, question, please slow down. All right, so this is a chart from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and they've done a lot of great research about kids' brains and how we think about money. And so I'm kind of using this sort of as a research basis and a framework for why we do this. The question is that this chart answers is, how do people build financial capability over their lifetimes? And CFPB here, through their research, has kind of identified 3 steps. And so you see here, step 1 is executive function. And executive function basically means how much control do you have over your own brain? How much can you think about your thinking and control your own thinking? And so this has to do with, like it says there on the chart, self-control, working memory, which is how much can you process at a given time, problem solving. And the good news for you is that if you are a conscientious parent who sets boundaries for your kids and kindly and consistently enforce the boundaries and basically bring them up in a safe and nurturing atmosphere, you're already well on your way to step 1. So good job. You're already a good parent, and you've already started them off learning how to do good financial skills. That's just the baseline stuff of being a parent. But there's more growth and executive function that they can get. And so this is why it's targeted here on the chart as ages 3 through 5. And what I see as a great opportunity for mini economy is giving them meaningful choices about resources. And we don't always do that very well as parents, giving them meaningful choices about resources. Sometimes we give them choices, but sometimes the choices we give them are like obey or don't obey. Or you can have this cookie or that cookie, which is a choice, but it doesn't make them think about time. It doesn't make them connect work to income to things that they consume. It doesn't make them think about saving. It doesn't make them think about the right choice versus the wrong choice connected to all those things. And so what we hope is to give them sort of a step up when it comes to thinking about their thinking, that executive function. The mini economy program, by the way, is mainly aimed towards ages 4 through 10. I think that 3-year-olds can do it, but in a really very simplified form. And once you get above age 10, I think they're more interested in earning real money. And so we've thought through ways in mini economy to sort of transition in and transition out. I have a 10-year-old right now, and she's more interested in real money, but she's still participating in mini economy. And we have ways that we can sort of pass that off as she grows. So for middle childhood, I'd say when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's when it's about, you see there in part 2, financial habits and norms. So a norm is a value. It's right and wrong. It's based on your presuppositions about the sort of person that you want to be in life. And so one thing that mini economy does, it helps us teach sort of the right and the wrong about money as well. Like, what are our family values about money? But then there's also the habits, is just getting into the habit of things like saving, get into the habit of things like sharing and giving. One of the things that we do, and I'll sort of tip my hand ahead of time, when our kids get paid, they have to tithe, they have to give money to church first before they do the other things. That's a habit and a norm together. And we get the kids in the habit of these things. If you don't have a mini economy, it's more difficult, I think, to start teaching these things at a young age. Even though this third step, financial knowledge and decision making, is for somewhat older kids, we're accelerating them through mini economy. We're actually able to teach a little bit more sophisticated things like bookkeeping and record keeping. And we want to give our kids a head start in those things. So we'll get around to that later. I will say one more thing about this is that when you have a mini economy, it gives you a framework for answering questions. Like when my kids say, Dad, when you swipe your card at the store, what does that do? That requires some step 3 there, financial knowledge. And so I'm able to tell them, well, you know how you keep records in your money book at home? Well, when we swipe our card, the bank kind of has a money book on their computer, and they just make a change where they take money out of my account and they give it to, they take it out of my money book and they give it to the bank's money book. And my kids can understand that because of the program. Okay, let's move along. So we start out with just with this idea of scarcity, because this is a mini economy, and economics deals with the question of scarcity. Scarcity is basically when we don't have enough resources to meet all of our goals. That's scarcity. So it doesn't mean that there's not enough to go around. It doesn't mean that we don't have all of our needs. What it means is that we have goals that we're trying to pursue, but we can't meet all of those goals. We can't say we can't spend later and spend now if we don't have enough money for both. We can't both do leisure and do work at the same time. We have to make choices. Scarcity just basically means that we need to make choices about the use of resources. Anytime that we're making a choice, something is scarce. And so an economy is a way that we distribute resources, or a way that we make choices about resources. I'm not going to sit on this too long, because I know you want to cut to the how do I do the mini economy, but it's important that we sort of get the framework for what we're doing here. We're giving kids opportunities to make choices about scarce resources over time. Let me repeat that. Making choices about resources over time, meaningful choices. And so what we're trying to do is build their financial habits and norms, that's step 2 in the previous slide, and build their financial knowledge and decision making. And so a lot of the things that we're going to do in the mini economy, that's the reason why for all the things. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that there's a lot of different economies out there, and you probably do some of these in your house already. So for instance, when parent decides, that's a way that we can decide who does a job, or that's how we can decide who gets this treat or that treat, or how much screen time, or things like that. There's all sorts of different ways that human beings allocate resources and decide who gets what. First come, first serve, a lottery, a contest, force, share, things like that. We're going to start getting a kid involved in the market because the markets are all around them all the time. And we don't think that they have a really strong understanding of what they're doing. Kids understand sometimes as consumers what they're doing in a market, but they don't understand being a producer very much. And so one of the big benefits to a mini economy system is that they're able to connect their work to their saving, to their consumption, and eventually to creating a business if you get that far. And so we're starting to help them think like producers in a market and not just as consumers. Okay, the part you've all been waiting for, how to start. So we have 5 steps. The first one is design the money. Now, you could use real money. Uh, the reason why we don't use real money in a mini economy is because this is sort of a guided framework for kids. It's not really real life. Making your own household money kind of gives you more control over the process. So for example, when we have the mini economy store where we sell things, I make if a kid wants a toy or some cheap piece of plastic that they absolutely are excited about, but I'm sick of having in my house, like we're able to make those kind of artificially more expensive using the household money. So they can buy fewer of those things. Things that we kind of do want them to do, like to go out on a one-on-one outing with dad or with mom. Those that, mom and dad's time is scarce. We can't always go out one-on-one outings with them when we've got 4 kids, but we're able to kind of make that cheaper in the store, the coupon for that cheaper in the store using the household money. So designing your own money allows you more control over the goods and services that you're selling in the store. But also it's fun. The kids love designing the money. You can give a name for your household money. You see some classroom currencies here. In School We Trust, West Goshen 5H money. They call theirs mini economy money. When we do it at VCU, they're called Ram Bucks. And when we do it in our household, they're called Day Bucks because we're the day family. Oh,
I
and Sarah,
have this, we just found it like a online template and the kids colored them all. We have increments of $1, $2 bills and $5 bills. Or day bucks is what we call them in our house. And I laminated them, but we also have some that aren't. So they don't have to be that elaborate, but
oh yeah, thank you, Sarah. The reason
Mhm.
these ones are elaborate here on the screen is because the class had a contest to see who got to make the template for the money. But yeah, just like Sarah pointed out, we did it the easy way and just printed a template from the internet, and that's a day buck, and laminating is a good idea. So design the money, you're going to need lots of ones. I think we find out we run out of ones pretty quickly. So you need lots of one day buck or household money bills. And let me tell you, like, there's so many opportunities for your kids applying math and not losing their school math skills over the summer by making change, learning the denominations of the money, things like that. It gives them a lot more opportunities to use the money and do the math with it. I did have a teacher recently say, but if I'm trying to teach them about real money, why don't I just use real money? You could do that. In fact, you could either use real money, or you could make your money system in the same denominations as US dollars. That's up to you. In fact, I guess I haven't pointed this out yet. Any part of mini economy, you can take it or leave it. It's very flexible. You can start very small. I'm going to say some really elaborate mini economy things here. You don't need to do the elaborate things if that's intimidating to you, but so you can take or leave anything. I'll also give you once I show you how to do the sort of this mini economy that I'm telling you right now, there's also a really stripped down basic version for young kids, or there's an even more sophisticated version for older kids. So step 1, design the money. Step 2, household jobs. So decide how the children will earn the money. So this is not too new or innovative. I mean, most families have chores, you do, right? But you can make it a little more fun for starters. Like, let me give you some examples of household jobs that we have. Our jobs that we had for our kids is the zookeeper. The youngest child often gets the zookeeper job you see there. And notice that I drew it in pictures because most of the kids, we only had 1 kid out of 4 could read. We now have 3 readers, so that's exciting. But I had to draw pictures of everything in the mini economy. And so the zookeeper, as you can see there, they feed the cat. That's not a toilet drawing there, even though it looks like it. That means fill the cat's water and food bowl, and then also pick up all the stuffed animals. The librarian, is their job to pick up the books and to read stories to the youngest child before bed. And the guard's job is to pick up all of the weapons around the house I'm embarrassed to say how many weapons we have around the house, the foam swords and shields and things like that. And then also this particular child asked to go on patrol, and picking up weapons around the house was such a big task that was really the only thing he needed to do. And we just let him go on patrol. One thing we found out about jobs is that I really love making sort of like a creative element or sort of a showy element to each one. So let me give you some more examples. So in fact, you know what? I'm going to back out of this for a minute and get my, a new list that I was typing. Can you all see that right there? This is me typing it at mini economy. Okay, so here's some, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So here's some job ideas I was dreaming up. And this is actually has the descriptions in there. But notice the chef's assistant wipes off the table, sweeps the floor, and helps prepare the meal. There's a creative part about that. The shoe keeper, because keeping track of children's shoes is a full-time job if you've ever had small kids. I never knew, by the way, as an aside, like how much stress in my adult life would be connected with my children's shoes, but it is a lot of the stress in my adult life. So the shoe keeper takes shoes out of the car, puts shoes in their places, matches the socks. A hospitality person can tidy the foyer in the front room, dust, but then also greet adults nicely and offer them a drink if they come visit the house. The equipment manager picks up the sports equipment, pumps up balls and tires. But notice that the musician, this is helping a way to help the kids like actually practice their instrument during the summertime, but it can have some fun things like making playlists for listening in the car. So add a fun thing, add a fun job title. You know, I think that's better than just saying like, it's your job to tidy the whatever, even though you can't do that. Okay, where's my PowerPoint gone? Here are some jobs that are typically done in classrooms: architect, builder, gardener, sanitation worker, janitor, banker, accountant, waiter, busboy, historian, job checker, money cutter, etc., etc., etc. Let me encourage you this, like, one thing that adults frequently underestimate is how responsible kids can actually be when they're proud of their job and bought into it. So we've seen this in classrooms, is that teachers are often really intimidated about cutting out all the money, keeping track of this, checking the jobs. You can actually outsource a lot of those jobs to the children. Now, in a classroom, it's different because there's so many kids, and most of us who are going to do this at our houses might have 2, 3, maybe 4 kids. I don't know, maybe you've got more. So you can't necessarily outsource all of your mini economy stuff to the kids, but a mini economy is highly motivational. I mean, they get into it. They get proud of their job title. And so you can actually trust them with some things that you didn't normally think you could trust them with in many cases. I actually wanted to ask you, because I'm trying, if you, that file I showed you a second ago is going to be for a book about this eventually, Lord willing. What are some other, if I can get some audience participation, some ideas for jobs around the house? And if you don't mind, I will sketch those down and type them in here, and you might see them in print one day. Any other ideas for at-home jobs that are percolating in your mind as we talk about this?
I don't know if you have it there. Is it like making the bed?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I think our oldest daughter suggested doing that as part of like the room cleaning service, like from a hotel. Like she wanted to do that. I mean, just keeping the kids' rooms tidy is a job enough in itself. I don't know, any other ideas that are going through your heads for what you might have your kids do?
Organizing toys.
Go ahead, Rachel. Go ahead, Rachel.
Organizing toys.
No, yeah. Kim, I saw you were about to go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, putting dishes in the dishwasher and taking the dishes out once they're clean.
Oh, yeah. Thought I had
Or
that.
washing the dishes.
Oh, yeah, I had that for, oh yeah, I had some more things. Dishwasher is down there. Oh yeah, had waiter. The waiter clears the table and will fill the cups
Yeah.
for people at the table.
Oh.
We've got our 4-year-old is on the trash collector right now. Did he do a good job with that today, Sarah? Empties the trash, takes it to the alley, replaces the bags.
He's now 6.
What did I say?
He said 4.
Oh,
Yeah, so he's 6. Yes, he did. He did do that. He likes being the trash collector. He was very proud of like actually throwing it into the big wheelie bin. Mhm.
This is a revelation right here, pool attendant. Because when we go in the summer, we go to the pool probably most days, and keeping the pool stuff organized is absolutely horrendous. You know, you have the big pool bag, stuff gets messy. There's orange peels in the bottom of it, things like that. So getting our 10-year-old to put away the swimming gear, hanging up the towels, hang up the swimsuits, taking the orange peels out of the bag, hanging up the floaties, making sure that there's sunscreen. I mean, that's an important job right there. Any other ideas for jobs you'd like to see
And
done
you
around?
forgot to add washing the dishes to the dishwasher session.
Oh yeah. Well, I added that above. I'll combine them later. Yes, thank you. Oh, there's the 10-year-old right there. Hi, Daisy. We were just talking about your job as the pool attendant.
So Dr. Day, I have a question. Do you
Go ahead,
and-
Allison.
and your wife model all these jobs? And then how do you keep track of quality control, so to speak, to make sure they are doing what needs to be done?
Was the first question, how do we model the jobs for them? Was that
Model first.
model first? Answer is yes. I mean, we model it. Yeah, walk through the job with them, show them how to do it, let them do it while we're there guiding them. And then for quality control, we have job day 3 times a week, like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And yeah, a parent checks it. If you're doing it in a classroom, you can actually have a student do the quality control and check. But for us, we actually, yeah, we come and see if their job's been done. And basically we tell them the job has to be done and done right before they get paid. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say that too, that we have certain days that are paydays. And I'll say, come on, Robbie, help me with the trash. Let's go to the bathroom, and he'll get it and put it in the, empty the bathroom trash. And so we'll do it together until he is confident enough to know, okay, this is what I need to do now. And then, Stephen, you showed Calvin about doing the yard work, and he is now going out by himself with the weed whacker, like a manual weed whacker, and knocking down all
the
these
manual edger.
Yeah. And doing this on his own. Like, I didn't know where he was, and he had been out there for 15 minutes. So I think they'll pick it up pretty quickly. There are times, with a few others, it's like, no, you need to do this or you're not going to get paid. Like I just did that with the littlest, with the cat. The cat was meowing, and I was like, who wants $1? Saying, big brother, are you going to do it? And he was like, I'll do it for $1. But then the little one was like, no, I want my $1. So she went and did it. So I think, yeah, we do model it and try to teach them how to do it so that then they can do it on their own.
I don't want to overpromise to all of y'all that your kids are going to become so compliant. I mean, our 8-year-old is kind of he likes to please the grownups, but man, you should see him out there with that edger. I mean, that's a difficult tool to use, and he's just hacking away at the weeds with it and keeping things looking nicely edged. When they don't do their jobs, here's the thing that's good about an economy. An economy is different than rules. An economy is about managing resources. And so they should have the opportunity to make choices. And so sometimes if they say, I'm not going to do my job this week, I'm okay with saying, that's fine. You don't need to do it, actually. I mean, you won't get paid, but it's your choice. Again, it has to do with them making choices. I think that if that went on, we'd say we'd work with them on finding a job that they like better. So there's a limit to which they can just say, no, I'm not going to do a job. One other thing about this actually is that in actually not just a mini economy, but in a real life economy as well, our real economy is based on rule of law, which means that first we protect life, liberty, and happiness with the laws. And then people can do what they want to create goods and services and sell them. So you have your laws, and then you have the economy. Similarly, in our household, we have the rules, and then we have our economy as well. So one of the rules is like, if you make a mess, you clean up your own mess, right? Like you can't just go around trashing the house and then being like, I just dumped the stuffed animals all over the house. And guess what? It's the zookeeper's job to clean them up, So that's not an option as well. Like we still have them doing work that's not paid, that is very clearly about cleaning up their own mess. Or sometimes we do still say like, this is a thing that the whole family is going to do, and we're going to do it together. And we try to emphasize that it's a family thing. So the economy doesn't supersede your family norms. Oh, I see. I have some comments. Goodness gracious. I haven't been looking at those. So bear in mind that your rules and norms come first. The economy is a way that students can do more extra production so they have more stuff to consume. People in the waiting room.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like maybe a couple of weeks ago, we started paying our kids for chores, but it was kind of like difficult to determine like what's, like a responsibility versus like we counted chores as like extra special things or, like extra hard work. But for example, like I feel like making a bed and putting away your dishes after you eat and cleaning up after yourself, those are like rules that we have. I guess like what do you also recommend like putting in, like they get paid, but then are you going to take away, like you got fines if you don't do certain things or you break the rule or something? Like how do you deal with that?
Stephen, what we did last year is we gave a weekly bonus. Do you remember that? Where if they did all those things, like the rules, then we didn't
Well, you had a
punish them
checklist.
for, we had a checklist, but we didn't punish them for not doing it, but we gave them like an extra bonus for doing it.
I'm sorry. iPhone 7, what's your name?
Sorry, Natalie.
Natalie. Hi, Natalie. Well, so the answer to your last question is here on the next slide. Don't overemphasize payment for being good or fines for being bad. So, the short answer is like, don't fine them too much. And in fact, I don't fine them at all. And the reason for that is that, again, an economy is about you're producing something. And when you produce something, you have that thing you can trade for something of value to yourself, right? An economy is not about obeying rules. An economy is about producing things, and that's what builds autonomy, actually. And so one thing that we're trying to do with the mini economy is build kids' autonomy in their choice making. About what Sarah said first, we didn't pay them for being good. What we did is we had a weekly checklist, and we said, and that's just the stuff they were supposed to do on a daily basis to keep the structure of the house running. That last year it was like, hang up your towel when we come back from the pool. Don't trash your room, don't make a mess. And so if they picked up their mess, if they, put away their plate from their snacks in the TV room, if they hung up their towel, we made sure that we got a check each day. And so that was, we gave them a bonus for that. The best thing I'd say about it is decide these things ahead of time and be clear. Actually, to contradict something Sarah said a second ago, I'd say like, I don't recommend that you sort of on an ad hoc basis say like, I'll give you a $1 for this, I'll give you $1 for this. So like, avoid doing things randomly, because that gives too much power. I think the parents, it gives too much power for the parent over the economy. You want some power, but you want everything to be predictable for the kids. You want them, and that's the main thing. You want it to be predictable. You want them to know ahead of time and be able to plan ahead of time how they're going to spend their labor and how they're going to spend their money. So keep your rules. Kids should not be able to buy their way out of the rules. You know, they should never be able to pay to do something bad. Because those rules are based on morality. You know, that you shouldn't be able to pay to take something away from another kid, to do something bothersome, to do something immoral or wrong. But on the other hand, and you know, there should be some, and you should also have household rules that don't go away once the mini economy is over, because you're not always going to have a mini economy, right? It's good to end a mini economy after some set amount of time so that to keep it special. So you keep all those principles in mind while you think about what the kids' jobs are, because the kids' jobs should be about making something extra, about adding on to what they already have. So they already need to clean up behind themselves. But at the same time, but when you give them a job, they're creating new value, doing something good for the house that makes the parents' lives better, that makes their siblings' lives better, that makes the cat's life better. And then they're able to get paid for that. So they're going to get more than they usually were going to be able to get. Ooh, that was a long-winded answer. Any follow-up questions to that? You tracking with me? Okay, good. Good discussion, y'all. Okay, so how will they earn money? Oh, it still says students, and there's mini economy businesses. I'm going to save the business till later. That's sort of like an adjunct thing that can go on to the end. All right, so what items and privileges will the money buy? Well, in the household store. Okay, so there's a store. On Saturdays, we set up the household store and we say, hey, it's store day. It's also job day. They do their jobs. They get paid. They have to give and save money before they spend it. Then they take the money that they have left over after giving to church, after saving for later, and they take their money that they've planned to spend and take it to the store. Now, the store is full of actual tangible goods. You can put a toy there. You can put the candy there, things like that. But we also have lots of coupons as well. And here's the picture of the coupon. I'll fast forward. Oh, there's the menu. Where's the coupons? Oh my goodness. Okay, that's in the future. So here's some things that kids can buy in the store. And remember, these things are either tangibly in the store or they're coupons that we make with a little picture on them as well. So kids can buy candy, sugary drinks, toys, stuffed animals, clothings. Concession stand items at pool, like our daughter is always bugging us to buy something at the concession stand. This is a great opportunity for mini economy. No, you cannot. I'm not going to buy you stuff at the concession stand or at a Richmond Kickers game. I'm not buying you treats at the Richmond Kickers game, but that's something that you can get with your mini economy money. Buy the coupon, and if you buy that coupon, then yes, you can get something, a concession. Art supplies, books, coloring books. Sarah, can you hold up some of the coupons there so that people can see? Notice, of course, we draw pictures on them. We had the kids draw the pictures because, again, not everybody's a reader. So that's a coupon for a toy. Keep on flipping through if you could.
Sorry. Yeah, that's the toy. Oh, this was a bonfire.
Yeah, they can have a camp. They're always, as a rule of thumb, do this. Stuff that kids bug you to do that you could plausibly do, but you kind of don't want to because it takes a lot of effort and you just got back from work and it's a hassle. Those are great things to sell in the mini economy store. So I come home and kids are like, Dad, can we do a campfire? Can we do a campfire? And I'm like, oh, we're not going out into the yard to do a fire. That way they can say, I have a coupon for the fire, and then they can do it. That's extra screen time right there that she's holding up. What's that? What the heck is
A
that?
toy.
Oh yeah, another toy coupon. Going on a bike ride, solo bike ride with Dad, I think. Going on a solo adventure with Dad. That one is interesting because, you know, with 4 kids, they're always I always take them for adventures on Saturday, but I kind of decide where we're going to go because they would argue. And also there's tons of kids around. Like it's a popular item to buy the adventure with dad, and they choose where to go.
Mhm.
So when Calvin bought his adventure with dad, he chose the Petersburg battlefield because he wanted to do a battle. And like, that was part of the deal. Like, I have to do it. He wants to do on the adventure. And so, yes, he had me there in a public place with the toy guns shouting, bang, bang, bang. And it was really embarrassing. And there were tourists and everything that imposed a real cost on me, but you know, he paid for it. So he deserved it. Okay, so those are goods. A good is something tangible that you can touch or hold. Then there's also services and experiences. So outings. Okay, I'll take you to the Kickers game. I'll take you to the movie. I'll take you to go see Hamilton next time it's in town. A sleepover with a friend. Normally when the family's going on an outing, no, it's for the family, but maybe you can get a coupon to bring along a friend. Staying up late, extra screen time, campfire, sleep in the tent in the backyard. By the way, don't judge. Like, when I'm thinking some of you might be like, I would not allow my kid to do that. Like, we're trying to do a good diet. I'm not going to give him a bunch of sugary stuff. Or no, we limit screen time. So you don't have to do that. But also, I know some of these things you're like, why would you make them pay to do that? Like, shouldn't you take them to the museum anyway if you're a good dad? Like, shouldn't you go on a solo outing anyway if you're a good dad? Y'all, I'm laying my soul and my family life bare here. These are just suggestions. You do you. But I found that the best things, again, to sell are things that are just a little bit outside what they would normally get. They're not so far outside that like it's immoral and you just don't want them to ever do that. And you certainly, actually, this is probably the biggest landmine in all mini economy. If you're writing things down, write this thing down. Don't make them pay for things that they already get for free. Because then mini economy is confiscating things from them. So if they already get to go to the pool each week, don't make them now pay to go to the pool. If they already get, an hour or half an hour of screen time, don't make them pay for that hour, half an hour of screen time, because then mini economy is becoming a thing that's just about enforcing new rules, takes away what they consider their human right to screen time. Mini economy should be about producing new things, because when we produce new things, we have more things. And so that's what mini economy is about, adding our production and our work so that we can have things that we didn't have before. This next thing is a list of things that are from a classroom mini economy, but they might be good ideas for you. Lost and found. We don't have a lost and found at our house, but things that you would not think people want. Little kids often love. Hi, Robbie. So for instance, Robbie, he loves coins. I don't know if Robbie loves stamps, but a kid would love a plant, like a plant their special plant that sits in their windowsill that they get to take care of. Kids would love that. You can supply this stuff to your family and actually to your classroom if you're a classroom teacher for very, very low prices. You can get, there's my whole family. There's the whole day family mini economy right there. Let me go back to teachers for a second here. Teachers, you don't have to spend out of your own pocket to supply your classroom store. You can go to your local university, like VCU here at the business school. They'll give, like, the students outreach will give you all sorts of tchotchkes that we give. Companies have all sorts of swag that they give at career fairs. Like, if you just reach out to your local credit union, they'll be able to give you all these little tchotchkes. So businesses often love to give away just little things, but there's also used things. In a pinch, you can have a trash to treasure sort of thing and just ask each student to bring something from home to put in the store. Like, that even works too. That way you could have a fully stocked mini economy store tomorrow. So there's all sorts of ways that a teacher for free can stock their store, or a parent. Here's when we first introduced the mini economy. Again, we had pictures for our non-readers, but those are the prices next to the menu of things. We didn't have the store yet, but when we first gave the kids their jobs, we said, here's the sorts of things you can buy. You notice the cartoon characters staring gape-mouthed at screens, because that's how people look when they watch TV or play on the iPad, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm going to give you my things to avoid, and then I'll pause for questions. So don't make them pay for things they've already gotten regularly and will get back when the mini economy is over. That's discouraging for them. It kills the point of an economy. An economy is about producing new things so that you have new things to consume. Don't let them pay to break house rules. This insinuates that the rules are arbitrary and trivial, and they're not. Do let them buy fun privileges. Do let them buy things that impose a cost on mom and dad. Again, like if a thing that you would normally groan and say, oh, I'm tired from work. Like that's a great thing for them to let them buy a coupon for. Oh yeah, my 5-year-old's printouts of soldiers. So that was the former 5-year-old there in the blue shirt, Calvin over there. So Calvin loved to color things, printouts of clip art from the internet. And he was always asking my wife, Sarah, to print things out. And that took up printer ink and time. And Sarah would be trying to get things done. And Calvin would be like, Mom, can I have more printouts? And then she'd have to sit down on the computer and click through the clip art. And it was a hassle. And so we put those printouts in the mini economy store. In fact, you see that here on this page. See that number 1 next to all those stacks of paper. That's the printouts in the store. And so that sort of let Calvin decide how valuable were these printouts actually to him. He was able to set a value on them and able to start making good choices about them. We had first given the kids toy coupons, and we found out that was not good because then they would just go into Target and want like any toy there, like the biggest, most expensive toys. It's probably best to buy the toys ahead of time and just put them there in the store. Okay, any questions? I've just been ripping right along. Any questions about what to spend the money on? How are we doing on time? Got 17 minutes.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
have a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old, and they are adopted. And I have trouble sometimes getting them to do chores. And do you think that this, I think it would work for the 9-year-old. What about the 13-year-old? Do you think this is something I should try to incorporate, use with her, or is she a little too old, or
When she's 13, is it he or she?
excuse me?
Was it boy or girl?
It's a girl.
Okay.
They're sisters.
Okay, so for 13-year-olds, they have often aged out of the play money, I think. But not necessarily. I mean, if these, purchasing of privileges from you for mom and dad if that's resonating with you, then maybe you could still do it. You could have her buy coupons from you to have you do things. These principles still apply. They just tend to start applying more to real money rather than play money. Does that make sense?
I don't have any problem doing that with real money with her. It's just you have to force them to do things, and I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I think
tired.
how I would approach this with sort of a recalcitrant 13-year-old would be this: is have a conversation with them about the sorts of things they'd like to buy with their own money.
Mm-hmm.
Start with that. What would you like to buy with your own money? And again, it would be a punishment if you started making her buy things that she already gets for free. So you can use the same principle of, you can say, what are some other things that you'd like that you kind of don't get yet? And when she's 13, she's starting to probably have these new interests, maybe she wants to go to McDonald's with her friends and have some money. And, usually she would have gone with you in the past, but now she might, have some more money for treats, things like that. And so you can say, like, I'm willing to pay you to do your household job. And sort of like you have the conversation ahead of time, you set a framework, everything should be predictable. It shouldn't be ad hoc. It shouldn't be flying off the cuff. And then you can sort of set the schedule on when you expect the job to be done and when she can expect to be paid. Now, if she just will not do the chore at all, then, I mean, again, you can say, okay, but you don't get paid, and for her, I mean, that's a real choice. She won't have money. She still has to obey the household rules. Like if she makes a mess, she should still clean it up. If she breaks a rule, she should still be punished, but this is an opportunity for her to get more stuff, I think I skipped it before, is when the kids get paid, it's really important to start with what you do with the money right when you get paid. I mentioned the giving, saving, spending. That's not a model that I made up. I recommend that for all parents. Kids shouldn't, whenever a kid gets money, first, there should be sharing or giving and saving.
I agree.
And that, that tells them that like, it's not all about them, that they can do good for the people around them by sharing and giving. And saving, I have a song for later. Saving is about getting financial security, and it's about getting something bigger later instead of something smaller now. And
Well,
so,
I agree. I just adopted them they just were adopted last. It'll be a year in a couple of weeks, and
okay, congratulations.
I finally got their social security numbers and stuff changed. So my intention is to open up a savings account for them so that they can learn to start putting money away for college or whatever they choose to do in their future. So
Yeah, I am on the side of making them both give and save a set percentage.
yes.
Like they absolutely must save like half of it, something like that. And I think that I haven't used any, since I don't have a 13-year-old, I haven't used any of the technology they have for helping 13-year-olds with money, like the green light debit card. I hear good things about it. I can't personally recommend it. I mean, Kim, I know that's might be, you're trying to find out new structures to get the kids on board with stuff. This is one more tool. I don't know if it's an infallible tool. I don't know if it'll absolutely work with things, but it's a good first step and it's good principles to use, and I hope it works for you.
Well, I
But
appreciate it.
yeah. Okay, we've got 11 minutes left. Let me show you a mini economy in action. So Cal, this is me helping the kids plan what they want. Again, this is about making choices over time. So this is right when they were about to do their jobs. I help them say like, you're going to do your job, so you're going to get paid. So let's plan what you want to buy in the future. And so this is me going over their plans with them. And again, this is about building the executive functioning, the financial habits, the financial norms, and helping them think about the difference between saving and spending. It happens all at the same time. So see how it goes. And I actually make a mistake here. You'll notice that I tell Calvin that he has to give things up in order to get something. But when Daisy says she wants everything, I say she has to save a lot. And Calvin gets a little bit upset. Actually, I noticed that later after I watched the video. So that was a funny thing. Anyway, enjoy. Robbie, do not eat scissors, child. Calvin, so we have here, you could spend money on adventures, screen time, fire, printouts, treats, or a toy. What do you think you want to spend your money on? The toy is the most expensive thing. So you're going to have to not have these other things and give those up if you want to save your money for a toy. Robbie, which of the things do you think that you're going to spend your money on? Toy, treats, spending time, adventure, fire. What do you think? Oh, going on a bike ride with Dad? Okay, very good. Daisy, what do you think you're going to spend your money on?
I think all of them.
All of them. Also, what are you going to have to do if you want all of the things?
Save.
That is correct. Okay, very good, Kim. Yeah, so she's gonna have to save the most money too. You could tell Calvin was internalizing the lesson because he was like, so she asked for the most expensive one too, right? I think that's what he was getting at. So Calvin. Okay, so that's a picture of the coupons in our store right there. Oh man, I've gotten ahead of myself with things because we already talked about this. And actually, you notice some of those coupons were the same ones Sarah was just holding up a few minutes ago. I'll go past that. And this is Robbie getting his coupon. He was only 4 here. Where's your coupon? Give me your coupon, my boy. No, not the egg, the coupon. That's all gone. All right. Show me the egg. Okay, so that was him trading his coupon for the candy egg. Okay, so your last step is just to do it. And when I say do it, you can do things simply. Let me back out of the presentation for a second in order to emphasize this. Stop sharing. There we go. Okay. The simplest way to start is by having them do a job to pay them. I'm sorry, to show them start by showing them what their money can buy. Like you saw me demonstrating a minute ago. After you show them what their money can buy, assign them a job and have them do their job, pay them, have them allocate their money into sharing, saving, and spending, and then give them an opportunity to spend their money. And then over time, and then what you do is you allow them to keep this framework going on of when they do their jobs, that gives them more stuff. Try as best you can to make things predictable and set them ahead of time. Don't do things arbitrarily, like arbitrarily finding them or arbitrarily giving them bonuses, Sarah. You want these things to be predictable so that they're able to make plans over time. Sometimes they'll ask you for extra jobs. Allow them to have another job. That's them wanting to work harder. And I mean, that's a great thing to encourage as well. With very little kids, here's the simple way. With very little kids, have them do their work. And then when they get paid, you can make them have a choice between save or spend. And you can have them a saving goal. Be like, are we saving up for the toy, for the stuffed animal, or we're going to have candy now? This is for like 3-year-olds. You could say, would you rather save? And if we save 5 times, we get the stuffy, or do you want to get the candy? And you'd be amazed. Even some little kids will say, I choose save. And again, like you think how much delayed gratification, metacognition, being able to expand their time horizon you've gotten in just having them do that save or spend decision. With bigger kids, I already talked with Kim about this a few minutes ago. They're going to be more interested in real money, but you can still do the principle of talking ahead of time about what are some goals they have for spending money and what is some work around that they're willing to do around the house to start saving towards those goals. So that's my advice for doing the very simple version for tiny kids or the more real money version for bigger kids. Are there any more questions? I've got a few more slides, but we don't necessarily need to do them. I want to make sure that we get all the questions out of the way.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
With regards to their jobs, do you rotate? Like, or how often do you all change it up to keep them interested?
Oh, great point. If they have a lot of momentum with their job, I think there's not a set time, but I think you're right that we should be open to that. Sometimes their job, they do it so well that eventually it doesn't require much work. I mean, so like right now, Calvin is doing a lot of yard work and weeding, and he's doing a great job. But if he does a good enough job with that, there's not going to be that much work to do anymore. If they start getting bored with their job, yeah, you can reassign jobs. And it's a thing you can negotiate with them. You can say, what would you like to do, and help them set their goals.
How do you transition from, as they get older, from doing it, counting it as a job versus like an expectation? Let's say when they're 3 years old or 4 years old, make your bed. And then as they get older, like 5 maybe, and making the bed is an expectation. How do you transition? You know what I mean?
I think in general, like there's not necessarily a hard and fast rule. I think that the best way to set expectations is to like the clean up your own mess principle. Like if they've slept in their bed and messed their bed up, then they should make it like and just talk about expectations in that way, this is your responsibility already sort of thing.
Stephen,
Sarah, go ahead.
I think another thing is having, as you said before, a season of mini economy, and then something that you'll come back and revisit. So what, 2 years ago, we had Lucy would get money for using the potty. But now she's potty trained and she does it. So there was a gap where she doesn't remember that she was paid for that. And so now it's just something that she does. So I think you could spend the season training them to make their bed, and then the next year, the expectation is you're going to do that anyway.
That's a great
So
point.
let's now pay you for another thing.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Let me do this. I'll show you the slide with the money books, because that's important. We've got 2.5 minutes left, and then I can stop the recording and you can go, and anyone who has any more questions, you can stick around to ask questions. All right. So money books, we have them account for their money, and you don't absolutely need to have this in a mini economy, but I find that it adds so much more power to it. Here's what Daisy's money book looks like.
This is my money book.
Oops.
This is my money book. This is my income. This is what I made. This is what I spent. And when I added them up, I got 17, and then I subtracted 16 from 17. I had $1 left. I lost my $1, but I'm happy, but still.
Why isn't that bad that you lost your $1?
Because I did my count 5.
So one good thing about money books is the kids often lose their money. And so when you've done accounting, it helps, give a safeguard to say, like, when you keep good records, then it kind of keeps you safe from losing things. So doing some, how much did they make? How much did they give? How much did they save? How much did they spend? I think it adds another really good dimension to a mini economy. Here's what I sing to the kids, and I will leave this with you to help them understand saving versus spending. Spending is is buying something little now. Saving is for getting something big later. It goes, I've got money. What should I do? What should I do? Spend it all now. Spend it all now on something small, something small. I've got money. What should I do? What should I do? Save it up for later. Save it up for later for something big, something big. I've got money. What should I do? What should I do? Spend a little now. Spend a little now. Save some too. Save some too. And at 6 o'clock, I'll leave that with you. If you need to sign off, go ahead and do it. I'll stick around. I know I said I'll stop recording. I won't, because it might be interesting to have the questions recorded. But thank you so much for joining me, everybody. You've got my email. I think I'll put it there in the chat again to make sure everybody has it. And feel free. Oh my goodness, forgot to say, we're planning on setting up a market day for later this summer for mini economy at home. So I didn't get a chance to talk about kids' businesses. A kid can make their own business. If you're interested in joining us for getting together as a group here at VCU at the business school and making a little market where kids buy and sell goods and services to each other, I'm hoping to set that up for probably in August. So email me. I'll send an email to you to tell you the logistics of it. We're not going to have a huge group. But it's just a way that we can add one more dimension to our mini economy. So keep an eye out for that. All right. Okay.
Thanks, Dr.
Bye-bye,
J.
unless
That
you're
was
sticking
really
around.
Fun and powerful.
Putting my address in the chat, email address. Okay. Are there any more questions folks have?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How often do you pay your children? Once a week?
3 times. So we pay them each time they do their jobs. And I think that's I think that's important for the kids to as soon as they do their job, to see the money come in. That makes that tight link between the two things. On Saturday, they would do their jobs and then they'd get their bonus for doing their checklist. And then we do the store immediately afterward. And again, I think that's important to keep as tight a time between working, getting paid, having an opportunity to save and spend. That keeps them all close together in their brains, especially important for the smaller children, of course.
But we do only have the shop open once a week.
Right.
So if they do their job on Monday, they take their money and they put it in their money book and save it. So
Okay.
you're learning saving earlier in the week. Because we've had some questions where people say, well, they'll want to spend that money immediately, but the store's not open. And I
That's
think
good.
that's helpful.
Great point.
I just want to tell you, I've enjoyed this. This has been most informative, and I could see where this will work with my two. And children today, I work in a juvenile detention home, and children today have no idea how hard it is to earn money or how to save money or you know, this is good. I appreciate it. You guys have a good evening. And your children are beautiful. I
Thanks so
love the
much.
blue
Kim.
eyes.
I'm sure yours are
Thank-
too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
I have a question.